Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I am thankful you are all here. I am your friendly neighborhood Prax. Welcome to the channel. It is Sunday night, so it is time for some Mass Effect, which means I get to punt everything to Pope and let him do all of the invites, and I'll do my spiel at the end. But thank you, everybody, for being here. I appreciate each and every one of you.
Hey, thank you all so much, and I will receive that punt. We're going to take a knee and try and take this thing easy. Hey, everybody, Pope here. Pope World Build on the internets. I get to be your storyteller amongst storytellers as we return tonight to Mass Effect: The Gathering Dark. There is a grocery list of problems facing the crew. Uh, cool. And with that grocery list, I kind of want to take the temperature of the crew and see where the priorities are. What's the first thing that each of these wonderful individuals thinks needs to be tackled first? So, first up would be Arvanis. How you doing, friend? And what does Crid feel like needs to be addressed immediately?
Hey guys, it's Narvandis, Jesus in Real World. Currently, Kryn, there's a lot going on. Honestly, I mean, Kryn had the best time of his life at the bar. Made a ton of friends. Everyone appreciated his dancing efforts, and I thought after that, they thought after that nothing else could go wrong. And then apparently we had a fight with some Blood Pact. After that, found out about some armor that was gonna like it's super advanced that is part of an organization that hates everything that isn't human. We're on a ship that is made by those people, and also we may have infected Omega with a super technovirus. Priority right now: run away.
So we're continuing the lessons of cardio. Um, Someone who is definitely up on our cardio is our favorite sniper, played by PB. How you doing? And what is Etzley's like top priority right now?
Hi, I'm Etzley. I'm playing Etzi Leon, our token human sniper, and Etzley's first priority. Etzley kind of got hit by a little bit of a bombshell at the last session, and reeling just a little bit, wondering to what level things have been compromised. So right now her first priority is making sure that and her first action, as we are also panicking about the ship, obviously very important. Her first priority right now is her family and figuring out if they're fine and making sure that they will be fine. And the ship, obviously. Oh, it's not like the thing I'm doing the most of right now. Like my job's kind of done there, so I feel like I have a lot of time to just kind of panic about things.
You gotta pencil in the panic. Like you don't want to unscheduled panic. That just ruins the day.
Exactly.
Someone who is a professional about ruining others' days is our favorite Krogan, played by Chris. How you doing, friend? And what what is the top priority on the to-do list?
Yes, Chris Ganeas, the unfriendly neighborhood painting pirate, playing Bars, he, him. And yeah, Bars's priority is scrub the damn ship or get a new ship. Whichever of those two he's kind of fine with. It probably equally difficult at this point with the subtask of whichever of these routes we take. Tazik is never allowed to be left unattended on either the clean ship or the new ship ever again.
So, someone who has invited chaperones, I think plural, chaperones into their daily lifestyle is played by Mandy. How you doing, Mandy? And what's Tazik's priorities?
Hello. Hi, I'm Mandy. I'm Lady Luck 34 on the internet, and I'm playing the Solarian engineer, Tazik. Pronouns are she, her for both of us. And um, first off, I only take 34% of the blame for how this has come about. And Tazik is trying to think, what would Tazik's actual priority be at this moment? Probably trying to figure out whatever path we end up going on trying to resolve this scenario, if there is a way to save Carl. Argos already has to be rebuilt from scratch. We know that. So, if we think we can fix the ship, then we can probably fix Carl. If we have to go to a new ship, we might not be able to fix Carl.
Carl thinks there's absolutely nothing wrong. But again, we transition to someone who's used to delusional patients. Hi, Doc. Hi, Prax. What is the good doctor's priorities?
Hey everybody, I'm your friendly neighborhood Prax, and I get to play our Jarell doctor for the evening, Dr. Othrusal. Both of us use she, her pronouns. First, answer the question of priority. I believe the priority is now that the doctor is under the impression that the ship has a infection of a cancerous sort, is to treat it as violently as possible in the way in which you should, and there is a plan involving a shit ton of acid to treat it. That, and basically just ensure other issues are not, that it doesn't come back. As for me, thank you everybody for being here. Thank you again. I apologize for the delay and the lack of streams last week. That's what happens when your CPU needs to be fixed. This is we were originally going to stop last week, but instead we're going to continue through tomorrow. This is the last 2 days of the charity stream, or if I can spell, supporting Fisher House Foundation, low-key kind of thing. And by the way, there's still the possibility of a small thing. Well, it's not a small thing. A very large thing with many tentacles that spits acid as a possibility.
Yeah, that's definitely a possibility in y'all's future, as well as good things. Good things could happen. But we shall see with how things progress. But first, again, there's so much to do. To catch everybody up, yes, the ship has caught a cold, would be putting it mildly.
This is like pneumonia or something.
No.
Bubonic plague, maybe?
Considering the pervasiveness of this and the infectiousness of this, I'm not going to say it's the techno-organic version of Ebola, but it's in the ballpark. And so,
if the ship starts bleeding from the orifices, we out. Like, that's just straight up.
Don't tempt me with an Amityville horror fun time. I will make that happen.
I have watched and read Hot Zone. We don't need that life.
Yeah, but now I'm remembering the remake and Ryan Reynolds 8-pack for that, and I'm now in a happy place.
Why are the walls bleeding? It's made of titanium. How is this possible?
Having no budget constraints and obviously not being produced by Warner Brothers. But yeah, no, it's you had a number of ideas about how to treat this, knowing that you have also, by proxy, have infected some of the lower levels of Omega. You have not decided when you are going to inform Arya Tolog, known for being incredibly calm and level-headed, as well as, whether or not you're going to try and save the ship or be in the market for a new ship. There is also one other thing that you guys have not done in the course of all this, partly because of paranoia, not unhealthy. I will say this, given all of y'all's line of work, paranoia comes with the territory. But you have not checked in with any of your boss's contacts about possible solutions or just what the fuck is going on. So I will leave that there, as I think we need to just to prolong the calamity. Check in on the person who has a panicking moment. Hey, Exley, how you doing? What are you doing?
Hi. So I have opened the, let's just pretend I just very recently, within the last maybe hour or so, read the message that, and to remind the audience, Rala, the person who was deciphering the extremely cryptid message I received several sessions ago, from somebody who I was in a squad with back when I was in the Alliance, sent me back a message after I was like, hey, can we talk real quick? Because I was going to tell them, hey, have you heard of this metal that's super poisonous to humans? Was really the only reason I was contacting them. And then they sent me a super encrypted message back that I couldn't decrypt and had to literally pay someone to do so. And had to wait many days for it. So when I got it back, what that message said, Rala told me, put a note on it saying, you need to move quick. And then the message from my ex-squad mate Ulysses said, Cat 6 has been compromised, and so have I. I'm so sorry. And as we all know, a lot of my patents and a lot of my mod things have kind of been like popping up here and there as we've been going through the series. So I fully believe that, that not only has Ulysses been compromised, maybe other people have, such as, if we remember back to the first session, there's a one of our missions is to go to this convent of sorts, cult, I would say, of a bunch of bionics, and apparently also have some integrated my mod somehow into their bodies. So now that we're all caught up with what's been happening around the world and with Etzli, that's kind of what's swirling in her mind as we are pacing back and forth in one of the big rooms, away from everyone as they are frantically at work, I'm assuming somewhere on the ship. And I'm just pacing back and forth and just trying to figure out. I'm past the point of too much thought, too many things are happening. What do I do first? And I'm on to now furiously typing out in sibling talk a bunch of messages to send out to my family members that will be encrypted, though not nearly as hard as Ulysses's were, but enough that no basic person can decrypt them very easily, unless you're one of my siblings, in which we've long since had a thing going on, because Alliance, then I was out in the like seediest parts of the world or of the galaxy, and so I am frantically sending out messages in sibling talk to all of my siblings, being like, are you okay are have you heard from X, Y, and Z? Especially our younger brother, who I'm assuming is still somewhere on Ilium.
Yep.
Yeah, just hanging out there, despite a lot of yelling from all of us, and asking everyone, "Are you guys okay?" I keep on watch. Someone I work with is compromised, and I don't exactly know to what extent. I don't know that means for me. I don't know what that means for us, but I want you guys to be safe. So protocol. I don't know, like protocol lavender or something. The lockdown, get together, stay safe. Look, one of my siblings has a flower shop, right? It has to be something about flowers.
I am all for using flower language as part of code. I am all for. Um, but considering just how sideways everything has went, I would figure out this was either be periwinkle, or if we're going culinary, this is either dragon fruit or cilantro. Um,
Sure, we could go periwinkle. We could say,
this is
like
periwinkle bad.
yeah, this is periwinkle. We're at periwinkle right now. Um, and just and my big brother Javier, I think, he is the person who is in charge of basically the family. Even though both my parents are still alive, he's
Yeah,
the big guy in charge, essentially.
he's the current patriarch. Like
Mhm.
your parents are in their retirement years. They don't like between the two of them, they can operate all of the equipment in the house with occasional like tech support from the rest of the family. But
Exactly.
they have moved to a slower lane than the rest of
Ex-
y'all.
exactly. Eh? And
So
so I'm really pushing Javier on this one to if I
just
get a reply back.
just for security's sake, roll me an electronics test, please.
Electronics. Right there.
That
16?
is a hard 16. Um, so you remember, even in your panic, that you do not necessarily know how all of the disease has jumped. So
Mhm.
you go through multiple steps of security to make sure that if the virus has mutated to something database, that you're not infecting your family. Um, and you have a secure cipher. So that's all good. We'll get back to you in a bit because that's going
Okay.
to take some time, and then I think your room needs an entirely like dug in trench just by pacing. So while
Some new feng shui.
yeah, yeah, like again, and that sort of divot takes time to walk. So we're going to check in with some of the others and see how the solutions are coming along, or possibly the discovery of new problems. Um, so since I said new problems, let's check in with Tazik.
I would say I'm feeling attacked, but I can't. I have no defense right now. um, I guess Tazik would. I mean, the doctor's the one who had the idea of how to potentially solve, maybe disinfect the ship. Um, so I would assume that Tazik would be trying to help right now. At this point, we've tabled Argos to be rebuilt at a future time with brand new components, nothing that's currently on the ship. Um, Carl's doing something, but we can't fix Carl before we fix the ship.
Quirrell's hanging out with Kryn. It's
Oh,
entirely
that's right.
healthy.
Oh no. That's a future problem for Tazik. So I guess Tazik would have been, if there was any action to take from the doctor, taking it. Otherwise, just kind of like hanging around, being like, "Well, what do you need me to do? Do I need to code something? Do we need to, you know, crack some security?"
So,
I believe,
Doc.
I believe we had discussed that the doc was leading the charge on the hardware side of treating it with various acids that won't harm the metals underneath that it's attempting to attack, but would actually like destroy the virus. So I think it would be a level of like the doctor. It might need like she might come to you and be like, I need assistance making more solution. And like have the vials of the acid be like, and we need this concentration here. Because I can't take care of all of it.
Tazik, give me an engineering test.
Okay. Haha, 20.
You didn't sleep through biochem. We are all so
Yeah.
proud.
For once. I'm not
Um,
gonna fail just because it's not my specialty.
no, like I love the idea that like all of a sudden like you've got all these chemicals and batches, like you're back in class and it's just like, oh, I remember this.
Very much like, oh yeah, I didn't love this enough to like study it farther and make it my life, but I vaguely remember all of the rules and probably is doing any mixing of the solution very much within line of sight of the doc to ensure that staying within
Yeah,
expectations.
as opposed to just spontaneously creating a piranha solution, which would go a bit too far.
Would maybe have like moments of like, oh, I bet if I mix this, no, that's not what we're doing right now.
I think it's one of those, you have this scene above in like because Tazik is basically taking over engineering and the loading dock, and the dock is like, we need more space, and has brought as much of the acids that down to mix down with you, and it's like, you are making the big batches, and she's sitting there like taking the batches that you're making and turning them into like squeeze bottles so you can take them into all of those little hard to reach corners, like getting ready to hand them off to bars so that you can just be like, on this set of wiring you use this pile, on this set of wiring you use this pile.
I have a question. Doc, did you raid the color-coded squeeze bottles from the pantry?
No. She has her own in medical. She wouldn't trust anything that's in the pantry because it may have been contaminated with food.
Fair.
She knows that they're there, and she was contemplating it, but she's like, no, I need to make sure they're sanitized.
So, in the distribution of the solutions, Bars, go ahead and give me an engineering test, and we'll see how much that you have gotten treated. $19 or a net 20. Okay, so definitely things have gone exceptionally well. Like I can just see Bars, after having been essentially exploded twice, the least small of the crew is squeezing into places because Bars knows where everything is, especially on a ship where it can go boom if compromised, and spraying this acid that is eating away at the formed corrosion from this infection.
Yeah, there's been an alternating process with Bars where he's been squeezing in to apply the solution and then alternating that with ripping out other infected bits of machinery. So squeezes in, deals with that, and then just rips things off of walls and throws them into cargo containers to get the frustration out before going back for another set of solution and being directed to go and squeeze things in, and wondering why he is the one being tasked to this, but also thinking about the rest of the crew, and the only other one he would trust is Edsley, and she's clearly got her own stuff going on right now. So yeah, no, it's on him.
Apparently, so she would be saying, take the prioritize whatever we can so we can pull the ship away from Omega long enough to jettison the contaminated Ezo. And then, but also fully acknowledging she does not do engineering. She can help you come up with a treatment plan for a virus that's acting like a very infectious form of Ebola, sort of, but doesn't do the engineering. So she's like, here's your treatment. I don't know where to apply it.
So let us go on to Kryn. Kryn, are you helping with the pulling of things, or are you trying to chart this incredibly difficult course both away from Omega, the dispersion of the contaminated ESO, and then gods and engineering willing being able to make the gate jump to a port where you can fix things?
That would be the second half of that. Yeah, so I'm basically charting a course to basically flee Omega once we do what we need to do, because obviously there was this conversation of talking to Arya about this, but then I remember all I know about Arya from my time working for Hanar Intelligence, like, no, that's a bad idea. So I think whatever we need to do, we need to run as soon as it's done. So I'm not only charting a course back to the Mass Effect thing, but also proper paths to prevent ourselves from getting shot down by Omega, proper places where you can release the substance so it goes off into a sun somewhere and doesn't affect a passing by ship. And also just that's that. And also on the side, because Kryn is also panicking on a smaller screen, I can't watch it, so I'm having Kryn give me commentary on the latest episode of Krogan of Our Lives in the corner over there. So because
Wait,
I can't.
is Carl now watching soap operas with you?
Oh God, yes. And you know what? I'm gonna be honest. Carl is loving it. Like Kryn actually asked, "It's like what this one else? What do you like about it?" Like, I'm assuming Carl said something like understanding like mortal flesh failings or something. I didn't really pay attention. It's fine. But yeah. So
yeah, they're bonding over soap operas and anime. That just gets inserted into that.
Oh yeah. A lot of screaming especially the Krogan anime. Like honestly, 20 minutes of screaming before he punch. It's great.
Hey.
Now I'm just
they cut 10 minutes off in the Krogan opera. Like
I'm just imagining like Krogans now in Dragon Ball Z. And...
yeah, I could see it.
No, this has come up before. We've established that Yars had some holovids from old Earth. He is a Dragon Ball fan. This has come up before.
Yeah, the Krogans are huge fans of Dragon Ball Z. 100%.
Speaking,
I do think it's also probably a good. Sorry.
Kryn. So for plotting your course, I would like you to give me either a history test or a vehicle handling test.
Would also, because it's that, wouldn't this be navigation, which I have proficiency in?
Yeah, you can also use your starship proficiency for navigation.
Okay, perfect. So that'd be whatever my intelligence is plus the +3. Give me a second.
Yes.
I forgot. There it is. There's my character sheet. Okay, so it would be straight intelligence plus so 10.
Oh dear.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a problem.
That is a very specific set of problems. Uh I this is not lack of competency, this is lack of luck. You, because of your time with Hanar Intelligence, you're going, we need to get to some place where Arya can't get to us. That is a very small number of planets. We need to get to one of those that won't kill us outright.
Just keep shrinking.
Yeah. It keeps on going smaller, smaller, and you realize your ship's like half dead. You're having to limp to wherever you're going. And you need, if you're going to repair this, a lot of spare parts. And so, in your infinite wisdom and justifiable fear, you have one course, which is leading you straight to Tuchanka.
Beep. Bars?
Yep. What?
This one has a question. Do you know of any individuals on Tuchanka that we could speak to for a safe harbor? Because that seems to be the only place we can go. As Bard is laughing, Kryn turns to Carl's like, I believe that's a good sign.
And Carl just like with his rotors just shakes in place like big no.
Zeus, Tuchanka, and safe in the same sentence.
Our options are limited. Tuchanka is the only place we can go to that is free from Arya, where we can get the pieces we need to survive our ship being destroyed around us. We are out of options.
I've never been to Tuchanka.
Oh, I'm sorry for assuming.
A little fucked up on your part, but we're gonna let
This one
that slide.
apologizes. This one apologizes. I'm not gonna say this one's not gonna say anything more. This one is already digging the shovel.
That's probably for the best.
Okay.
If we're gonna take a chance with the Tuchanka versus Arya, yeah, the Tuchanka's probably our better option.
That is fair. All right. Well, then another beep. This one would like to inform everyone on the ship that the only path forward is where we are safe from Arya and can get the equipment we need is Tuchanka. I am setting the course. Ready when you are to flee. Beep.
Hey.
Gremlins
Hey-ho.
happen.
Hey,
back.
we have returned.
Hi. But first, I have to say something. Because I have to thank our anonymous donor for $150. That puts us up to
Ooh.
$300 on our total for Fisher House.
Nice.
As we're heading to Tuchanka, I see you, people. I see you. And now it's back to Pope.
I greatly appreciate it. It is for a very worthy cause. We can still go further. And I'm just going to say this as someone who has experienced a lot of time near or in hospitals, that being able to have an organization that is going to help take care of you while you're focusing on taking care of your loved one is an absolute godsend. Because you forget things when you're in that scenario. And you're so focused on your loved one, your own health can sometimes slip. That's the last thing you want. So having people who are looking out for you, providing a space that's nearby is immense. Like hell, just getting a good night's sleep is a huge ask. As someone who has slept on a hospital chair on a number of occasions, you can only do that so much and only do it so often when you are so young. Because as you do get older, those chairs become even more cantankerous. So thank you very much. With that, let's bring us back up to speed as we have now treated the tech gremlins with acid. They may be seeing a laser light show, or they may be melted. I'm not entirely certain. But Kryn, in his charting out, his figuring out everything, the destination is one place in order to get all the parts they need and also stay away from places that Arya has immense influence or can, have a team quietly inserted to kill them all. That would be Tuchanka. The Krogan homeworld, how do I put this? The last place on Earth anyone would choose to vacation. It is an irradiated war hellscape. Aside from the Krogan that live there, there are Varen, there are Pyjaks, and then there are the megafauna, the cannibalistic megafauna, in a place whose very winds are so hot and dry that a unprotected mammalian would probably die after 5 hours of exposure. So, party time. Excellent. As you now have things to where you can disengage from Omega, and hopefully, with a few hiccups, in 3 weeks, get to Tuchanka, where you can make berth and then negotiate with the locals to try and get the parts you need. But right now, everything appears stable. And as an added bonus, you can either really declare that you are never coming back here again with your flight path by dumping the contaminated Ezo into the sun nearest the station. Or you can not essentially declare war and wait to drop off that Ezo as you meet the sun that Tuchanka orbits, because that one is very large and incredibly hot and will not care. So I leave it to y'all as to, are you going to leave in a hurry, or are you going to take a little bit of time before making your great escape?
I think the primary question is how securely we can transport the Ezo, as to whether we can make it to Tuchanka with it without that causing us further problems.
I will let one of you with advantage roll engineering to figure that out.
That is definitely not me.
I have a +8. Tazik?
I have a +6, so
Okay, here we go.
Advantage, you say. All right.
Yes.
Engineering, you said?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Nat 20.
Oh, yes.
Excellent.
It would be safer to dump it now. However, You can make the journey. It just means that you're going to need to spend slightly more time on Tuchanka and spend more creds.
I relay this to the team. And I said we haven't spoken to our bosses in a while. This could be something we could bring up to them.
So, would we ask them their advice in this regard with the EZO? Would that be our question? Or beyond
Advice, ask for creds to get more EZO.
Now, catch me up on this, because it's possible those memory cells got burned away in the explosion. Are we still worried our bosses are Cerberus?
I think that whoever we're working on for are some shifty motherfuckers. Whether they're just fully Cerberus, whether it's a cell under Cerberus that doesn't realize they're working for Cerberus, whether it's Cerberus plus other people who don't want the world to explode. It's just, no matter who we're working with, I don't think we'd be happy to find out the answer. But either way, we're stuck in a situation where we're about to spend a lot of money to fix a ship that's not ours. And we're about to go through a very long trip through space to get to a very hostile planet. And we're going to leave Omega in the best we probably can. But if we explode our EZO into that sun, there's no coming back to this sector of the galaxy ever again, unless we go through some real reconstruction.
This one does. This one will say, we don't know if we choose to still work with these individuals. We may have a mission which may require us to be part of this space again. This one would vote to take the risk if we can perhaps get more credits from our employers.
If we're gonna contact them, let's wait until we've taken off. Because we all know who they are, and I don't trust them to not sell us out to Aria.
Fair.
I agree.
And depending on their willingness to help us, that may impact our decision. Maybe they can clear the air with the Krogan on Tuchanka.
That ain't gonna happen.
I mean, they may have a contact if we're lucky, but otherwise.
Yeah, you're putting a lot of faith in Krogan diplomacy, not involving hidden things.
So this one asks, when we speak with this employer, do we simply, how do we explain the situation that we were somehow infected? Do we go that far? Do we say we just need cred without an explanation? Do we ask them, are you Cerberus? How far does our questioning go?
Don't give them any more info than we absolutely have to.
Then how do we...
Keep it surface level.
We could just...
there was an issue with the EZO tank. There's so many things that can go wrong with the storage of EZO. There can so many things go wrong with the EZO itself. We can just choose any of those options. I mean, we're gonna crack the tank anyways. We could just say the tank cracked and we've gotta get more EZO. We could say EZO we recently picked up was contaminated and we gotta dump it and we need new EZO.
The only possible issue I could see with that statement, that seems perfectly reasonable. They will ask, why Tuchanka? Out of any planet we could go to, Why to Chunka is that required? That is what they will need to ask us. I know for sure.
We'll just say it's the best bet for what we need right now.
We have a lead into Chonka.
That we'll
I
have
mean,
to
we
do.
still have 2 other jobs that we still have to do, so
Mm-hmm.
There's a
Or
possibility
shit.
that we could find. Oh, sorry, Chris, go.
No, just tell them the truth. It's expendable. Ain't nobody gonna give a shit if we dump it into Chunka's son.
Ah,
It pisses off the least people.
mhm.
that is fair.
And it's technically the safest, based on the mass and size of that sun.
Very well. That is reasonable. Any more things we wish to ask our employers before we begin the contact?
I mostly just don't want to spend my money on this ship more than I have to.
Probably would not say that to them. That might be impolite. But perhaps, yes.
No, I just want the money for the Ezo. Ezo's
Yes.
expensive in this economy.
That is fair.
And if we've had the numbers a little bit just to help us with some of the other equipment, we can do that too.
Note to self, pad numbers.
Yeah, take like how much Ezo we're asking for. Take that
Mhm.
money and then like give it a little boost up, like
Very
5%
well.
increase.
Let me quickly check how much EZO is. Oh, 10% increase. Might be better, especially for percentages. Very well.
I don't know what the tax rate is on Tachanka, but just in case.
The tax rate is whichever warlord you're buying from.
All right. So with that out of the way, Kryn, because we decided to, instead of going immediately, we're going to see what the situation with employers before we head off, right?
We wanted to be disengaged from Omega first, though.
Okay. So as soon as we
Yeah.
disengage, I'm going to contact.
Oh, my thoughts on informing Omega about the incident on our ship that spread to their
Mhm.
space station is because Arya obviously knows that we think we're working with Cerberus. Then we saw that motherfucker get on that ship that we're pretty sure was Cerberus. We could say that we got infected by Cerberus shit. And we're leaving immediately to deal with the situation, but that the station might have been compromised because of it. And then we leave them with the information that we got about Cerberus, possibly attacking Omega soon, or like poking around, to make our story a little more credible. That's my thinking here.
That is very, very smart. That could definitely work.
Remind the player here, were we still planning on setting off an EMP before we leave to try and decontaminate the hangar bay we were in? I remember that being a thing we were talking about doing.
That was a good way of containing some of the other issues, as well as slowing the spread of what's already on the station.
So, but if we explain to areas like we're only doing this to protect not only our ship, but also the area to prevent it from being infected, that could work. Of course, we would still have to be attached to the ship. We could detach and then say, oh, you got to clean this up with the EMP when you get a chance. That's another
Why don't we
option.
leave the EMP and be like, hey,
Oh,
here's the thing.
Yeah,
Like,
we're trying to
if you
help.
want to use it,
Mhm.
Like, this is what we're using to try and
Okay.
clean the ship up.
Okay.
And obviously we can't use an EMP in the dock. That'd be inadvisable for the other ships. That's dangerous.
mm-hmm.
And for
gotta go. We
ourselves,
gotta
because
leave.
then we would just be stuck there.
Yeah, 100%.
Exactly. We gotta go. That's my thought on all of this.
That's a really good idea.
If you guys are going with this, I will let you. I will even give Kryn advantage on this persuasion test to write
Okay.
this very formal, informal letter to Arya Taloke.
That was going to be my next question: is
I
who
was
is
like-
who is fronting this?
But Edsley's been the one talking to Arya, so I feel like Excellent.
The look on PB's face when you said that.
You do not want me writing any letters.
I also would argue that weirdly, it's more believable coming from Kryn,
Oh, this is
given
true.
what Arya probably thinks of him.
That is
She's less likely to question it.
okay.
That's true. Her interaction with him was seeing him floating and dancing around.
Yeah.
I'm still on Omega's funniest videos. Like I'm just on loop in the background. All right, yeah. All right. So I am going to write a formal letter to Arya.
Yes.
My dearest Arya, how have
Oh,
you been?
God.
Roll this persuasion test.
Okay. So, yep. And I'm going to write the formal letter. Please be good. 20. Not a nat 20, but 20.
Oh, that was precisely the number you needed.
Oh,
not
yeah.
more, not less.
My dearest Arya, I hope you are well. There has been a situation that I need to relate to you concerning the individuals you know as Cerberus. They have infected our vessel with a strange technological virus that we have not yet fully studied. We are doing our current best to protect our ship, but also the surrounding area, which has also been infected by Cerberus, those hounds. So we would desire that, as we're leaving, we have left a tiny present for you, what would you call electromagnetic pulse device. The hope is that you use the device to hopefully prevent the infection. We're doing this because we're such wonderful customers of your Omega station. We will see you again in a future point, and we wish you the best. Love, Kryn.
It's the love Kryn that really got her.
At this point, she is just like, I can just see, like, on the Omni tool reading this. I'm not hiring assassins today. I might hire assassins tomorrow. But I'm not hiring assassins today.
Flying away.
just Arya looking at her shift language, just holding over there, was like, nah.
Honestly, are we worth that trouble though? Because
Not with who comes to visit her in a little while.
I know, not with what we just enter.
Oh yeah.
So you begin your journey. These 3 weeks. Just because there will be further complications.
Mm-hmm.
I want each of you to give me a test, and you can choose whatever test it is. Just explain to me how it is helping you get through these next 3 weeks.
For me, for Kryn, Kryn is trying to use his navigation to find a way to make the trip as short as possible, finding any weird gravitational quirks or anything he can use to like speed things up along.
Okay, go ahead and make that test.
Okay, one moment. So it'll be straight intelligence plus 3. 2. That'd be 14.
14, okay. Next up.
So the doctor is doing 2 things simultaneously. On one hand, she's continuing to create more of the acid solution so that we can treat things in transit, while at the same time creating small little vials that might be useful when we get to Tachanka if we need extra creds with which to negotiate.
Okay.
So I'm going to use the medicine for that one. We'll see how
Go ahead
this
and
goes.
give me that test.
21.
Ooh.
That's good. Who's next?
okay, I'll go. Tazek would be doing 2 things. One is based on the solution the doc is using to try and treat the ship. Probably is going to make a giant tub of it, or like a good sized tub, and just dunk Carlin. And see if that helps.
You're baptizing your drone in acid.
Just cleaning him up. He's been through a lot the past few weeks going out into the field with us and everything. And not sure if this will help, but hoping for the best.
I mean, the entire premise was that the acid was like acid tests you do for gold, where it wouldn't necessarily harm anything.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yes, I am just going a burgeoning AI is going to be forcefully baptized in a
Mhm.
way by their parent. In
We're gonna treat it like a
acid.
bath. Like we'll have like a little scrub brush. We'll clean him up while
Yep.
Carl's.
I mean, that's what you say, but I just still don't know why you have the white robes on and all of that. And the candles are weird, but you know what? You're the engineer here, I guess. That makes sense.
somehow, some way, Norbert starts playing "Take Me to the River."
No. Norbert's a Billy Joel fan. It's River of Dreams.
Oh.
I don't know if this will solve the issue, but it's trying to. And
Okay.
then the second thing would be based on the analysis of all of the currently unused components and mechanical pieces and things that are on the ship, would be taking anything that does not appear to be infected. Also, like basically doing a I don't know, could I set up like one of the giant washers, like the power wash with the acid solution? Let's just like make sure that nothing will be infected before I try to rebuild Argos.
If you want to use your 3 weeks to play Power Wash Simulator, I will not stop you.
Well, the goal is that I'm power wash simming and then actually trying to rebuild Argos too, like little by little, with
Okay.
improvements, of course.
Mhm.
Like if we're gonna start from
Well-
scratch, I should have learned something from this.
Mhm.
But of course. So what test are you making? Because you get to decide.
I feel like this probably is good for electronics or engineering. Either would be applicable here.
Whatever you feel most comfortable with.
Okay. Well, they're both the same stat for me, so we're gonna try engineering. Oh no!
That is a nat 1.
Oh no.
We'll get to that later.
You can't blame the happy set on this. You
Okay, man,
cannot.
my advantage roll was so much better. Like, I would feel less bad if they were both equally terrible. Well,
Yeah, we'll get to that in a moment. Who's next?
I'll go. I'm going to need you to inform me something about the mechanics of this, the Mass Effect
Certainly.
stuff, though, Pope, because I have proficiency in Starship System Drive, which I was going to use to
Okay.
make sure the ship still works, given all the parts we ripped out. But I am unclear on exactly what it is to roll for that.
Essentially, you can make a argument for a number of different abilities, and then you have your proficiency score added. Because if
Okay.
you're doing percussive maintenance, I can see that being strength plus. But if you are doing something that is more science-based, that would be like int. If it's more experience-based, and Bars has lived for a bit, that I can see being wisdom.
Okay, well, his
So-
wisdom's a -1, so we ain't doing that. I will then. I mean, we can go with just I guess the engineering role.
Okay.
Would be the most, since that's usually what he goes with. It's not so much the percussive maintenance. This is stuff he actually knows what he's doing, so he is trying to get the ship to go without exploding whilst we're traveling through a mass relay. So let me.
19. Nice.
Which would which is where I think the proficiency bonus would actually be a 22.
Sweet. That's fantastic. So that leaves Etzley. What is Etzley doing?
That's a great question. Etzley is oh man, because she doesn't want to like put her head down and work on her own personal projects to try and like bribe anybody on Tachanka because she's doesn't want anything she has to get infected by the ship gunk. And that's usually what she does when she's feeling emotionally attacked. So not having that option, I think the first like maybe week we're out in the middle of nowhere. Etzley is a little bit like restless in not knowing what exactly to do. And like whenever she actually like wants to go work on like the weaponry of the ship itself, it's like that's what's like under supervision at that point because that's like getting fixed at the moment, or like dipped in go away gunk. And so she spends probably that first week really just restless in not knowing exactly what to do with herself. And then for the next 2 weeks, I think she spends her time I think she spends her time working on like a little bit of like information uh research, just some research on what's happening on Tachanka because she hasn't been there in a while, and the last time she probably seriously looked into maybe going into that sector of space was back in her 20s. So she's like looking up like what's going on in Tachanka nowadays, like who's in charge, what are the warlords like, um uh probably like what are they like, are they more into trading, are they more into like creds, what's like the vibe there, what can we actually find on the surface because the market was kind of dire last time she also looked, so it's just doing a lot of research on Tachanka I think and see what to expect when we get there. um
Okay. So what role would you like to make?
um
'Cause that sounds like investigation.
it does sound like investigation. I will do investigation. Yeah, my investigation and history are the same. Um
17.
17.
Not bad. Okay. So I have news. You guys make it to Chichanka without too much fuss. However, it wasn't all sunshine and flowers. Uh, you you had some extra stresses by taking some shortcuts with Kryn's path from just using the gravity slingshot, so you lost a solar panel or two to the depths of space by trimming those corners really tight. Um, had that Firefly moment of something fell off the ship. But it wasn't anything exceptionally important. Uh, you've got plenty of acid. You have so much acid now, and the actual drive, aside from needing some new parts, especially for all of the backups, those all need to be replaced because you have taken and cannibalized all the backups for the primary. So you are just running off primary. You have no backups for the drive system. But it's solid. It is good. It is golden. Hensley, in your surfing of the web, you have found out that there's not a lot of warlords right now. It looks like the Tuchanka is going through a time of consolidation, which is terrifying for every other government out there.
Great for us, though.
Any time that the Krogan start like consolidating around one charismatic leader, the rest of the galaxy gets nervous. And so, like, you're going, wow, that's a lot of warlord deaths being reported on. Oh dear. So there's like, when you bet again in your 20s, you were like, okay, there was like 30 to 50 warlords. There's 6 now. So that's a opportunity. Also, because there has been consolidation, there's probably a lot more scrap left to pick through. There's probably a lot of pieces to trade for. This is a golden opportunity as long as you do not, with your group and their incredible charisma, step in it.
This one is competent.
So now we get to that nat 1.
Mm-hmm.
And Mandy, I'm going to let you pick your poison.
Okay.
We can play one of 2 of my favorite games. One, I can roll the happy sad die, or we can play my next favorite game, which is you tell me how this goes wrong and I tell you how it gets worse.
Okay, Jigsaw. Damn.
Want to play a game?
Like, both of these choices seem terrible. But you know what? We're gonna do the happy sad die because I just want to be consistent
Yep.
with the rest of the game.
And it could be the happiest die. You never know.
You have been taunted so many times. 66% is this your fault.
No. That face.
It's like
No.
the middle face, isn't it? It's like it's not happy,
It
but
is
it's
the
not angry.
it is the most medium of faces in existence.
Golden.
Oh god, we got maybe.
No,
Tell
we
my
got-
wife I said hello. So, with that, you have parts. You have so many parts. You can rebuild Argos. It's just with the parts you have, it's not necessarily going to be the frame that you wanted. Like, you could rebuild him, but you don't necessarily have the bulk and the
Oh.
armor plating to rebuild him in that fashion.
Okay. So he's not going to be Elcor. Can I have then like looked at all of the things and said I don't have what I need to make him an Elcor right now. So instead, I'm gonna make him like one of those Boston Dynamics robot dogs because I was inspired by Buttercup.
You know what I can see?
Tazik is making a robot Varen.
Yep. This can't go wrong. Nope, not gonna go wrong at all.
Why couldn't you have been the unhappy or the happy face? This is all wrong.
Look, it
Yes.
could be worse. She could have been she could have decided on a part check.
No, hey, at least it's not a hijack. At least it's not going to like leak motor oil in different places because of the personality chip. No, you can go about remaking Argos in a quadrupedal Varen-esque form. You have the parts for that. Just so we're going to be replicating a Varen's bite force with hydraulics. Like the jaws of life are mild compared to this thing's bite strength. I think Geneva has a few suggestions about this design, but I don't think they're going to be listened to. But sure, this is fine. This is perfectly fine.
It's not our first war crime. It won't be our last.
I was gonna say, like, was I being supervised at all during this process?
No, obviously not.
No, because Bars has had to have all hands on deck getting the drive to not fall apart. So I think the only person who has been supervising you is Buttercup.
Buttercup, and occasionally the doctor bringing more of the acid, right? And the doctor has already said she doesn't do electronics. Has no knowledge.
So you have no idea, as you're just seeing Tazik with that manic creative energy.
I think it was did you check with Bars about this first? And then of course I do.
Buttercup's right there.
Yeah, that's exactly the response it would have been. Like, can you not just see, like,
paying
Buttercup
absolutely no mind to the fact that Carl is currently, scanning Buttercup for bio data and uplinking that to Tazik's like design tablet.
Carl's baptism go, by the way?
Oh, parts are fine. Carl is intact. Though Carl did shortly after this washing, discovers Aquaman comics and becomes very, very interested.
As soon as Kryn finds that out, Tazzy, you get a message from Kryn. This one asks, just out of curiosity, how do you feel about robotic fish? So that Kryn could communicate with them.
Question. Did I not make robotic goldfish already and put it in a tank somewhere earlier in this game?
You talked
I
about
think
doing it.
you talked about doing it.
You talked about doing it.
But
Okay.
you did not achieve it yet.
Okay. When I get that message, I'd been like, it would have to be goldfish because I don't have enough components to make anything bigger, but if you're okay with that.
One moment. Click. Carl, goldfish?
Mm.
Blip. Okay. Click.
As within the two of you's viewing, episodes of Batman Brave and the Bold have been inserted.
Question: throughout this 3-week journey, how's Norbert doing?
That's the thing. Norbert's been very quiet.
Oh no.
I'm sure that's fine.
I mean, Norbert knows what we're doing, right? Like we're trying to protect him from an evil techno virus. Right?
Yeah, well, I believe one of the things I said last time was that the doctor who had been communicating with Norbert the most started sending Norbert like decontamination procedures and surgery procedures and cancer treatment stuff is like, this is what we're doing because you're infected kind of thing.
Yep.
With
he has been processing.
Yes. I don't know how well he's processing and
Oh boy.
Can VIs feel grief?
Now I need all of you to give me a perception test.
Okay.
Would separately, would the acid solution application to the ship have any?
Come on. I have a 7. How did I get an 11?
This is
Too
Bad.
tense.
You've got to be freaking kidding me.
Oh, they've not- Okay.
No
Oh,
one
mine's
has
actually
paid
wrong.
attention
Yeah,
to
yeah.
some of the things that have,
Oh,
while Norbert's been
Oh,
quiet,
no.
gone missing.
But we did
Oh.
deactivate all the Loki mechs,
I know you deactivated all the Loki mechs.
and we got them off the ship.
No, you put them in a container. You did not get them off the ship.
Oh, that's right. We just had bars put them in because we let Buttercup drag one
Yeah.
through the.
oh
Yes.
no. Oh no.
We tried.
Yeah, because you all wouldn't let me blow them up because you were worried about putting extra force in like how they might react to that.
I would like to point out that was not the doctor's decision. That was other people's decision.
So things have gone missing, but none of you know this.
Okay. Okay.
By the
I
time
assume anything that does go missing is being used to like repair something on the ship.
it makes perfect sense what you would actually like go like, okay, so that bit of conduiting's gone. Bars must have harvested it for the drive, or oh, okay, so that bit of armor plating's probably been repurposed by Tazik to make a new Argos. That makes perfect sense. Okay, is that a few of those focusing crystals? Oh, well, those can be repurposed for some of the docks gear. That makes sense of it being missing. Just things that, over the course of a few weeks have just got up and left. Nothing to worry about. As you get closer to Tuchanka, I'm just going to check in. One, as you arrive in system, is this when you're going to contact your employers or earlier?
Arrive on system. We're already here. We have no choice.
Yeah, I guess if we need them to give us creds, then we should probably contact them.
Yeah, I thought we were going to do that prior to hitting the mass relay, was
Yeah.
my understanding.
All right, because we weren't sure if we were going to get it or not, right?
Yeah, and we
All
didn't
right.
want to
Yeah.
do it. We didn't want to do it on Omega, but I don't think we would want to do it within system of Tachanka either.
Right.
So
Um,
when you are about to hit the first relay, you can go use the relay's comm buoy to set up the communication.
Okay. Then I am going to, well, Kryn is going to, before we hit the relay, set the link and try to do a real-time message with the bosses.
You don't get all of them. You just get one.
Perfect.
There's a very distinctive voice pattern. So, what is it that you want?
This one greets you, employer. We as a group have encountered a bit of a bind we require aid with, sadly. The Ezo tank has, well, cracked. Some way, somehow. And as you know, Ezo as itself tends to be important in flight. And because of the expense, we were hoping that in your great wisdom, you could aid us with giving us what is called creds to replace Ezo so we can continue our mission for you.
Creds can be provided, but first, we need you to select one of the 2 remaining missions. Once you have all gotten the mission briefs, I will check in with your ship's VI and see what repairs are necessary and then send you the credits.
Please hold a moment. Beep. And I relay what was just said to everybody else in the crew.
Remind again, player, what were the other 2 missions?
You had one that went after a biotic-headed cyber cult.
Mhm.
And then another one that was investigating the disappearance of an entire science team that was working on a new extragalactic telescope.
Was that the one with like almost nothing left behind?
Yes.
And originally, we went to Omega for more info, right?
Well, you were licking your wounds from Novandria, and you were also going there to like re-equip, get some information because you were worried about Cerberus.
And also
And-
sell off our gear we got, buy some stuff.
That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
But that wasn't necessarily Omega wasn't necessarily tied to any of the missions.
So it's basically, hey, while we were restocking in the process of doing that, we had to
Mm-hmm.
help out the locals.
Because we were
And-
gonna have to wait anyways. We had
Yeah.
time
Yeah.
to,
Make a little,
to kill.
keep our skills in, keep our skills up. So this one asked, are we interested in fighting off a cyber cult? That's a new one. Or search for a science team.
Where are these two different missions at?
On opposite ass ends of the galaxy.
Is one of them closer to us in Tuchanka's system?
They're not quite equidistant, but they're close. One is on the Alliance border with the Akin Traverse. So right on the Batarian Alliance border.
Ooh, that's where
the science team went missing. And then as for the cult, that is literally at the edge of Alliance space, adjacent to Wild space, over like past Ilium, past most of the Maiden systems in that little pocket towards the galactic north.
I would theoretically vote to go after the scientists, and the doctor would explain. The reason would probably be because I want to see a little bit more about this bioengineered poison that is based on Reaper tech that the Batarians are taking in. I figured that would be closer.
See, I say we go for the cult.
I mean, that's fair.
Because we're good at blowing shit up. We're dumb as fuck.
There's a tentacle for a second, and then it just drops like, yeah, okay.
I mean, the doc's intelligent.
But
I'll give you that. That's fair.
Yep.
But my point is we ain't exactly been doing subtle.
I do agree. You are correct. Bioengineered biotic cult does sound less likely to worry about subtle than perhaps sneaking into an area where the Batarians are planning to invade Alliance space because of, war crimes. I agree with you.
Additionally, if we are going over there, we are in a obviously human-made ship. If we face a Batarian, they would probably shoot on sight.
Also not wrong.
My vote is also on the body enhancement cult.
Mm-hmm. Another important, if it's obvious as far as I am aware, cult seems to be the direction we can go. The employer said it would discuss things with the ship's VI.
Oh.
Do we trust the VI to? Is there anything we don't want the VI to discuss, and can we trust the VI, Norbert, to be on our side?
I don't know. Hey, Norbert, can we trust you since you're listening on this conversation anyways?
Usually he chimes immediately in. There is a pause. And then you
Norbert, you
hear
good, buddy?
footsteps.
Oh.
Oh, I'm fine. As a conglomeration of different tech and Loki mechs, Norbert's built himself a body. And
No,
that's where we're going to
aesthetically-
take our break.
I just imagine just seeing just footsteps and everyone's heads turns toward the door. In comes Norbert, and then everyone's heads turn towards Tasik.
And freeze frame.
See.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, we will be right back. Take your time, break, stretch, bio, refresh, do all those good things. Make sure you hydrate, and we will see you in a few, everybody.
Awesome.
Bye.
All right.
Now available at stores near you, the latest release from Hanar Helium Heroes is out. To celebrate the release of Blasto 9 Citadel Royale, get your own inflatable hero Blasto. Hurry now and choose between the original Blasto from Blasto the Jellyfish Stings, fan favorite Blasto from Blasto 6 Partners in Crime, the latest look from Blasto 9 Citadel Royale, or collect all three. Only available while supplies last, so get yours now at Omega Mart.
I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite store outside of the Citadel.
Hello, everyone! Welcome back. We hope you're refreshed, stretched, bio, did all of those wonderful fun things. And now I get to turn the mic back over to our illustrious leader.
Now, all of you are aboard the ship. I love the idea of this meeting being like around the navigation section of the ship, around nav, as a slightly better than our first introduction to Ultron in the film's version of a body with a Norbert in it, comes marching up.
Hello, Norbert. I'm going to assume you made sure that you engaged all decontamination procedures when you created yourself this body?
There was plenty of acid where I was constructing, so everything has been treated.
Very good. You look well.
Thank you.
You could have asked us for help if you needed it, Norbert.
No, this was very personal. A reaction to something I have not experienced until recent information.
Information?
I experienced, I think you call it fear. And so I built a backup body.
Logical.
This one asks, are you still connected to the ship?
Yes.
So is your main core in the ship or in that body?
Yes. Main core is in the ship. It trying to find something that can handle as much processing power, let alone the memory that is outside of my primary data core, is problematic at this point to find in a smaller vessel. But I can at least back up my primary programming to this body.
Makes sense. Well, you look good.
Thank you.
There are questions we can ask that probably for later, but we have a issue now, as you already know, Norbert, with your potentially asking for aid from the employers that gave us, well, you. They are going to access you to get information about what we have done so far. I'm beginning to realize that if they had discovered that you have learned things such as fear, they may not look kindly on that fact, if you understand what I'm trying to suggest here.
Their observation protocols for the vessel have been compromised by the interfacing between myself and Carl. So I will have to translate for them what those symbols mean.
Doctor, you are seeing on Kryn's the light show of coming from Kryn. He's like,
Norbert, do you require any additional decoration or parts? We are apparently landing on Tachanka, and we wish you to feel comfortable in yourself.
I doubt Tuchanka will have what I've been shopping for. Need to get into Alliance space or Cerberus space to pick up the body of choice. Something that has a hollow projector, allow me to blend in.
Norbert, will you be staying on the ship or traveling with us?
I will be staying on the ship. This is just in case the ship is compromised and I need to escape.
Very well.
Priorities, and we still got our illustrious benefactors on hold.
Oh, right, yes. Oh, sorry. Distracted. Wow. A lot was happening. A lot was happening. Okay. Beep. This one had to discuss things with their crew about the situation. We have chosen to go after the cyber cult as our next objective.
Noted. I have gotten a diagnostic from your VI. Seems you have taken significant damage.
It has been a bit hectic of late.
Something about mercenaries dealing with your escape from Bavaria. Did not necessarily pick this information up when you initially left the planet, but looks like one of the systems that was damaged was one of the observation cores.
As I said, hectic.
Make it a priority to get that repaired, along with the problems with the primary drive, ESO containment, and with your navigation systems. We need this up and running.
It will be a priority. Thank you so much for the aid you are going to give us so we can complete the mission. I wish you a pleasant day. Click.
Out of curiosity, which one of those benevolent benefactors was that?
That was Bar Levon.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is fine.
Yep, this is fine.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Headed to Tuchanka, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Tuchanka it is.
If we're all gonna like disperse now, Tazik would turn to Norbert in his amalgamated body and be like, I know you said you went through the acid solution cleaning. Is it okay for me to run our diagnostic that we're using for checking for the contamination? Consent is important.
I can run the diagnostic, but I've already done so myself.
It's always good to have a second opinion. Taps away. Would that have been in the doctor's documentation?
Probably. And it would probably be like the doctor would be walking back to their lab and somebody's like, oh, Norbert, do add your own specs to the medical files if necessary.
Open a file on yourself.
Certainly, Doctor. I'll make certain that happens forthwith.
We want to make sure the entire crew is healthy and well.
Tazik, you do the diagnostic. Somehow he's cleaner than currently what you've got going with a third built new Argos.
That's slightly concerning because Argos should hopefully be clean too.
He's clean, but he is within accepted parameters.
Okay.
Versus Norbert's clean.
And I would be like, oh, this is fantastic. Norbert, is there a specific like subroutine you ran for cleaning that we can start applying further as we continue working on the ship?
I acquired the high velocity scrubbers from the galley and repurposed them for cleaning parts.
Great. And Tazik's gonna be like fantastic and just like walks off to go do exactly this.
Yeah.
And add it into the the power wash setup that Tazik has in engineering.
As I'm assuming everyone else walks off, there's Kryn with Norbert. And Kryn just floats in front of Norbert for a second, and Norbert.
Yes.
This one asks, how do you feel?
That is a complicated question. I am still figuring out. Mostly fear, confusion, and mild pride.
That is a good combination, considering, well, everything. Welcome to the crew, and Kryn floats away.
But yes, you make your approach to Tuchanka. And as you're a heavy grade, heavily modified, and significantly damaged Alliance frigate, a very specific clan intercepts your communications and designates you a place to land.
Would that be Clan Erdnot?
Yes, it would.
Lovely.
And would the chieftain of Clan Erdnot be Rex? Erdnot Rex?
Yes, it would be Rex.
Look, I know you said we went Paragon here, but it is the most important decision.
No, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair.
Oh, Rex is alive and cantankerous.
As it should be.
You're supposed to say, like, this tracks.
That's tracks. This 100% tracks. I can't imagine. And you know what? You guys can play Mass Effect however you want, but if you kill Rex, you're wrong.
So, y'all land in Tuchanka. For those of you who have played Mass Effect 2, you find a very familiar layout. As, yes, there is the target practice field. The engineering section of what is there has grown in size. It looks like they have been acquiring many parts for vehicles, weapons of various size and grade. Also, this place is better fortified than when you find it into, as there has been significant armoring upgrades to the camp. But even still, the place has way too many pyjacks. But you are welcomed.
I was gonna say, is there a welcoming committee?
There is somebody who is there waiting for you, in heavy engineering armor. This is one of the 3 Krogan engineers Rex now has as part of his clan.
My people, well, sort of. Hi.
I want Tazik to have said that for just the facial expression of a even a Clan Erdnot Krogan engineer looking at the Solarian going, no.
There is a. You don't have to make a medicine check. You can tell that this Krogan engineer has vomited a little and choked it back.
I mean, it's a Krogan, they can do that, they're fine.
Yep.
Sorry, I was just like...
The only thing that can really hold a Krogan, disgust.
Oz
And then
just
Tazik-
sets a hand on Tazik's shoulder and just pulls her back.
You just like the squeak of like my boots sliding
Yeah.
across the tarmac or whatever the equivalent is.
Yeah.
But then this is one of the situations where Bars does have Buttercup with him.
Yeah.
Nice.
Usually she stays on ship now.
I am Erdnot Davin. I am one of the engineers here. It is clear from readings that your ship is in desperate need of repairs.
Kryn, Sisors, this one says that you are correct. Thank you so much for that observation. We are in fact in need of repairs.
You guys got creds?
That in fact we do, and we would love the services of such superior engineers as you. Obviously ours is not up to task. And but if Taz is about to say anything, Kryn puts up the tentacles like, no.
Like it's one of those where you can tell like Taz was opening their mouth to like respond, and then did like the anime like sitting in a corner like cultivating mushrooms.
Yep.
We will work with your team to try and patch your hurt. Though I have it from the warlords, credits will not necessarily be enough for all the transactions.
This one asks, if credits are not enough, what is?
Well, there is a boneyard of sorts with a good deal of most excellent scrap. The problem is there's a thresher maw.
Ah.
Yes.
And your people have not removed it because?
Well, we're kind of in a consolidating phase, and that is a lot of resources that we just can't spare right now. But if you lot can help chase it off while we secure the area so it does not return, then we can most definitely help you repair all of this.
And if we also accidentally die against a Thresher Maw, you get a free ship.
Yes.
Sounds like I don't know if you want this ship, but okay. Do you sell ordnance?
We have acquired much.
Toxic is not going to assume that just because you have it, you will sell it.
There are some pieces that I believe our quartermaster may be willing to part with, but I leave that between you and her.
This, give us a moment, please. This one will need to discuss this with the rest of the crew. One moment. And Kryn floats back. So they will help us, though we do not have enough creds. Well, technically we do, but creds will not be enough. We need to aid them in acquiring scrap, which is in the territory of a Thresher Maw.
That tracks.
GM.
Yes.
Do I know what clan Brix is member of?
He is not Clan Ergon.
No, I know he's not, but it was just like
he is Clan Vorthos.
She would not mention his name. She's not. She doesn't pay a lot of attention to clan politics, but that one she would pay attention to. I can do some mild trading after the fact, but I figure. I wonder. And she'll like step away and like look at the engineer who I'm currently blanking on.
Davin.
Thank you. Do we have rights to salvage of any biological material from this in the instance that we kill it?
If you kill the Thresher Maw, you can part out the Thresher Maw. If you can get to its parts.
Question. We do not necessarily have to kill it, just distract it for you to get the scrap, correct?
Yes, it's mostly being able to play, well, you play bait, draw it away from its home, as we with a few assault choppers and some engineering equipment, get down there to partition it off and set up a device that drives them away, but we need to be able to have the time to dig down deep enough to deploy it.
How much time will you need?
With the latest setup, we need a good solid 3 minutes.
3 minutes. That seems doable.
But if we do happen to kill it, we are allowed to salvage anything we want from it.
Yes, if you somehow, some way, manage to kill it, if you can get to its bits, they're your bits.
Do you think your quartermaster has a plasma cannon or a pulse cannon?
Pulse cannon, not so much. A lot of the stuff that's salvageable on here uses, kinetic rounds. So less on the energy side. And I don't know if you can convince her to part with the Sunmaker.
How does she feel about drones?
She's got a few.
Cool.
Very well. It seems like we have a mission. How long until your team is ready to head out?
Oh, this is going to take a bit because we're going to have to make sure that both of the vultures are fueled up, and then I need to get with the assault team that'll be able to, should you perish sooner than we hoped, be able to fend things off while we deploy the noisemaker.
Very well. We will be awaiting your go-ahead as we make our own preparations.
It'll probably be a day or two, so you might as well make yourselves as comfortable as you can. There's surprisingly enough, there is guest accommodations here in the camp if you want to use them outside your ship.
Oh, that would be. Thank you for the offer.
And who would we speak to at least begin some of the work on our repairs?
Well, I'm currently having my Omni tool interface with, apparently your VI is very eager to get on this job. Can't see why it wouldn't be. As communicating which parts that you need, and that is a significant amount of ESO.
It has been a productive couple of days.
We'll give you what we can spare. Though, if we can drive the beast a bit further, there is a tank that went down out there that does have some ESO in it.
By further, could you translate to how many minutes we have to distract it?
Well, if we're trying to get to the tank, you would have to pull it away a full kilometer as opposed to half a kilometer.
So possibly 6 or more minutes.
Yeah.
Without the tank, we will not get the full necessary amount of ESO, correct?
Like, we can get you to maybe half of your requirements, but like with whatever's going on in the greater verse, as it were, ESO is shot up in cost.
Thank you for your frankness. We will wait for your team to be ready.
Certainly. The plus side is, if we do get the tank, I mean, we're not going to really need the cannon on that thing, but we could probably mount it to your ship.
Ooh.
Is the tank functional, or and
Oh,
it's just
No, well, we're not entirely certain. It is definitely a wreck that survived the last Civil War. I'm
Got it.
pretty sure the crew died due to radiation poisoning.
That's about right.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Very
Hello,
well.
engineer.
Just you hear a
But just try not to do anything too outlandish. You guys should be fine. If you need to find myself or one of the other engineers, just head towards all the vehicles. I promise you, there's a bay behind all of that. It's just we've been working sort of shorthanded as of late. And then the quartermaster, her office is, if you get to the bay, there's a long hallway. Just go all the way to the end and you'll find her and her stuff.
very well. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay.
I'm going to go back to the nice climate-controlled ship that isn't full of heavily irradiated air atmosphere and stay on that.
This one will also do the same because it is hot, and I hate hot. Float away.
I was like, I have a couple of ideas that might help us out, so has also heads to the ship.
But I'm thinking we're going to make a stop at the quartermasters first. Would anybody... And she looks at Bars and Etsley intentionally. Would either of you like to join me?
Well, of course, as Crit. No, I'm kidding. Crit floats away.
Basically, as Corinne is floating away.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm down. I'd like to see what they've got going on around here.
Yeah, throughout that whole exchange, Bars was pulling further and further back, he's been looking increasingly uncomfortable, and just let whatever the hell was happening with Kryn and Tazak happen. This just kind of leans down and gives a scritch to Buttercup.
Sure, let's go.
So, team shopping is headed out.
So can Tazak yell from like the distance, about to go back on the ship, like, find out what we need to get that cannon?
And then the doctor, totally deadpan, will look at Bars and Etsley and goes, "Do you actually want that cannon?"
I don't think it matters. We're going to die.
We need to think more positively.
You know what a thresher maw is, right?
Yes.
We're being sent out as bait.
Mm-hmm. But they did say we could keep any of the pieces we get if we kill it. Think about...
I like your enthusiasm, Doc.
Look, it's a giant acid-spitting creature that occasionally can electrocute you as well. But given the amount of poisons and targeted biological weapons that are currently going around against various species and giant reapers, I kind of want to see what a Thresher Maw's acid would do to Reaper tech.
I want you to think real hard about the first part of the sentence you just said and find the flaw in the plan.
The killing it first, I understand, is the more difficult portion of it, but there are more of us than of it, and if we don't stay all clumped together, then it can only attack in one direction at a time. Standard pack tactics to take down a larger creature.
We're gonna try. We're just gonna lose. It's a hell of a way to go out.
That's why I have a whole lot of almost military grade Medigel on my person at 24/11. I have a whole bunch of ways to make sure you don't die. It'll probably just hurt a whole.
I mean, we've got a ton of gear we've picked up. We've got that missile launcher we got off of those mercs.
I've still got 6
all
grenades.
those nades off of those perks. If nothing else, we can at least do some damage to convince him to hopefully not keep going towards us.
Or just long enough for one of us to get into the tank and start shooting it from the tank?
We're assuming the tank works, but we'll give it a try.
Well, I mean, the best we can do. Not much of a choice with this dead of a ship we got going on.
Yeah, we ain't going nowhere else.
And I am quite concerned given the prevalence of Cerberus discussion and the rise in bioengineered repo tech being spread around. And I figure this is the one planet we can guarantee Cerberus is not on. They kind of stand out here.
Fair enough. I mean, all we can do is try our best, make the most of what we've got, and see what they got here. Hopefully they got some stuff we can use.
Yes, I have some
and at
things
least
to
throw
work
nades.
for that.
You walk down this long corridor past a bay where you see a bunch of different vehicles essentially being Frankensteined back together. You see like a classic Krogan shredded tank design, like the primary chassis. And they're taking like the accelerator cannons, 2 of them off of a Mako. Off of Makos and trying to marry that to the top of the tank.
I've seen
Like
weirder.
it looks like they are trying to gear up as best they can, but a lot of the weaponry they have is the stuff that is salvageable is not necessarily the weapons aren't Krogan. They are salvaging other people's stuff for the weapons and then trying to marry it to borrow a phrase from another franchise, Dark Age Krogan tech. But yeah, that's what these engineers are attempting to do. But eventually you get down the corridor, you turn, and you have been through security checkpoints that were far less aggressive, as the sheer number of automated security turrets in this room that are bristling and following your movements seems a bit on the extreme side. And you see in the classic style of where a female Krogan, like standing behind this very long counter, and behind it you just see so much heavy ordnance. Visitors, lovely, come in.
So I wish to do some mild business first.
Well, credits are credits. Just not everything is open market priced.
Fair. What about some... And she'll take the bag that she's got, that she's been wearing, and just kind of shift it and set it in front of her. Starting with trade.
That'll get you somewhere. But for the most part, we need the creds.
Creds are good. I just like to work with trade first to know everyone's on the same page.
all those vials, if they are what they think they are and are of good quality, I can part with some grenades or some of the more specialized munitions for your guns.
100%. Always deal, always 100% and high quality.
Good.
What would you like? And she kind of turns to look at Bars and Etzli.
Bars is looking extremely confused and trying to figure this whole situation out, because this is the first time Bars has ever seen a female Krogan. And is clearly trying to put together this whole situation.
And you can tell that she has had her eye on you, sees your confusion, and is now just actively ignoring you and addressing the two women who are with you. As she like gives Etzli a good look over. All right, so what is it that I can help you with? As she addresses Etzli.
I'd be interested in seeing any of your selection of snipers and any weapon mods you may have.
We don't have a ton of variety on that front. Not too many Krogan known for their long distance fire skills or control, but we do have a few systems. Give me a moment.
Anything's better than nothing.
If
If you're going after a Thresher Maw, you need something.
She comes back with 3 sniper rifles. She comes back with a javelin, a Kashak harpoon gun, and a M90 Indra.
90. All right, I'm gonna give these a quick look over. And that's PP speak for I need to look them up and see what they actually are.
The javelin is very, very long range, and does decent damage. The harpoon gun is far closer range. Is very good against organic targets or anything that can bleed. As it shoves a hollow harpoon into the subject and has them essentially decant themselves all over the ground.
Oh.
Yeah. And then the Indra is a sniper rifle that is capable of 3-shot bursts.
Oh. I see.
It is much closer range. But
with 3 shots.
Accurate and can, burst fire, which is being able to suppress an area with fire. So that's what she's got.
I'm gonna mull these over while the doc talks.
Yes, and she's kind of like looking at Bars, seeing if there's anything Bars needs, but if Bars is still kind of like trying to figure out this.
Oh, to that note, remind me, do we have a Mako of our own? Do we have any kind of ground transport?
You have an air transport. You have a essentially a vulture of your own on your ship. It's got like guns that would be decent at irritating and possibly harming a Thresher Maw. The problem is, should that should the Thresher Maw hit that vessel with everything it's got, you may die to the acid before you hit ground.
They're they're gonna be sending us out against the Thresher. You got something to do with the ground transport out there, or do we need to speak to them? We're gonna need something.
If you want a tank, you're going to have to talk with the engineers. But if you're here for the Thresher Maw, I guess I should probably bring forth the heavy ordnance that I can part with if you've got the creds. And she goes to the back and brings out a few heavies. Let's see here. And she brings out an M100 grenade launcher, a sync laser, and it has sunshine written on it, almost like enthusiastically in red Sharpie. An M920 cane.
I also am gonna have to look up what all of these are.
The M20.
The M920 cane is the only weapon in the Mass Effect arsenal that has a radiation symbol on it.
Okay, so it's not in
the M-920 cane.
M-920. Nope, yeah. That's not in there.
The cane is under gear, as is all heavy weapons.
Okay. Because why would it be under...
Yeah, that would make sense.
You know, the weapons. Oh yeah, I remember that gun. That gun's fun.
Yes, it fires a nuke. And then the sync laser tries to sync up with any of the weapon defense satellites that are still surrounding Tuchanka and has it fire something off of those satellites.
What was the third one?
A simple M100 grenade launcher.
Yeah, that I don't care about. I am a grenade launcher.
Okay. So if we were trying to bring... What kind of deal can you give us for the... Sunshine?
Yes, Sunshine here, we can part with because we found one in better repair. But it's still fully functional. It's just has, well, it's not as fast as the other one. But it still will, you know, make whatever it is that you manage to hit with it go away. Or if not go away, at least think twice about continuing whatever it's doing. As for deals, it's mostly in credits. Though if you want to somehow have me part with this without getting credits, there is something that you could possibly obtain for trade. But it require going out and into the ruins to retrieve a few things. There's a old, and I mean old, medical facility from before the war that is 3 clicks from here. Problem is getting through the secure blast doors without necessarily destroying whatever's on the other side. The boys are good, but they're not high-end engineers. So if you could slice that door open, bring all the medical data, all the medical supplies that are in there that are still good, then I could see with parting with a few things.
Well, she's a real freak, but we do have a high-end engineer.
Most of them aren't right in the head to begin with, so it's perfectly fine.
It couldn't hurt to give the rest of you a bit of exposure to the terrain out there before we go do this.
And breaking into a medical facility. And she kind of like makes eye
You
contact.
might like that.
Well, I'm not going to turn it down. And she's going to make eye contact with this female Krogan and go, I'm assuming you are interested in more than just the medical devices for a reason.
There are samples from before the genophage. I would like those.
Fair. I'm willing to Who is your... If we do this and I bring these back, you have to... Do you have facilities to keep them?
Yes.
Who is your medical professional?
She is the matriarch of the clan.
I'm moving up in the world. I respect her. Why? And then she kind of like side looks at Sig, goes like, why can't all, governmental structures be run by doctors? You have no status about anything else that was in this facility?
Just that it is a very old pre-war facility, which means that it does have some automated defenses. Not a lot, but they're Krogan built, so they're meant to deal with Krogan grade problems. So if you do manage to trip something down there, you're likely to lose at least an arm or a leg.
I will... And she kind of looks at the other two and goes like, I don't object to this. I feel that, I personally have problems with... I don't see a problem in attempting to help the population overcome the genophage.
I'm game.
Ain't gonna lie, I'm kind of surprised to hear you say that, but
I have always had
either
problems
way,
with Solarian's perspective on certain things, and the Drell were not asked. We were not considered important enough to have an opinion.
either way, I reckon going and doing something outside of the main encampment gives less of an opportunity for either Tazik or Kryn to say the wrong thing to the wrong person and get us killed before the Maw can do it.
I will
That's
defend
true.
Kryn for the most part. They usually are pretty good at the talking, at least themselves out of things.
So you should see Kubanda in the motor pool. See if you can't borrow a few motorcycles for your trip.
And anything else we want at this moment?
Again, I have plenty of upgraded munitions. I'm sitting on a surprising cache of warp rounds. So
Do
that
you
I
have
can.
any ice or lightning rounds? I'm trying to remember what those are actually called, but Prax is failing at this. Oh, it's like
Wait a sec.
you know what I'm talking about.
Go to the mod section. Placement. I've got some cryo rounds, not a lot. And as for phasic ammo or disruptor ammo, not much here. I've got an extensive amount of warp ammo, shredder ammo, and incendiary ammo.
Can we get whatever cryo ammo and incendiary ammo? And she like points at the case. That would get us plus 10,000 credits.
Okay, well, I can get you the last of the cryo ammo. We've got 4 mods, and I can get with everything there plus the 10,000 credits. I can get you 2 clips of incendiary ammo as well.
And she'll take the cryo and hand the incendiary to one to Utzley and one to Bars. It's like people who actually fire weapons or should be trusted with incendiary ammo. And there's a look on her face of people who should not be trusted with incendiary ammo.
Lessons have been learned.
Somewhere off in the
That
distance,
is a
the
damn
ship,
lie.
Tazik's like, what was that?
Not a single lesson was learned. That is not true.
Ever forward, never learning.
I will say, well, for my part, I'll definitely take one of those warp ammo mods, since you have so many of them.
Okay.
And I will ask you the price of the M90 Indra.
The Indra?
Mhm.
If you manage to get down there and retrieve the data, I'll give you the damn Indra.
Say less. And I'll pay for the warp ammo mod.
Since you guys agreed, she's only charging you 15K for the warp ammo.
Oh yeah.
So who wants to tell Kryn about this?
And Tazik, because you need that person to slice through the defenses.
That scene to Kryn. I'm glad this mission is going to be relatively simple.
Just tell them they get to ride on motorbikes. It's fine.
Back to Krogan of our lives.
At the same time you click, you'll hear a beep beep on your comm.
Oh, yes?
I'm like, hey, Kryn, Tazik, we got a job to do. Something to pass the time before we got to do the real mission.
Oh, what sort of mission? What sort of job are we taking?
It's a pickup job. We just gotta go grab something out of an abandoned hospital.
Oh, that sounds simple enough. Perfect. What sort of transportation are we taking? Something obviously enclosed, correct?
Yeah, some motorcycles. Have you heard of them? Do they have those over there in on your planets?
It's not the most well-known pastime, although I'm familiar with the vehicle.
Yeah, they're giving us some of those.
Carl just makes vroom vroom noises.
Not helping. Very well. No shielding from the sun. I'll have to make sure my suit is properly locked in, but if that's what we must do, that is perfectly acceptable. So, who will I be riding with?
That's a great question. Anyway, Tazik, there's also going to be some things that are going to blow us up. So just, we kind of need you to help out there.
And Tazik is saying, like, perfect, I just finished putting the last couple things on Argos. I think we'll be fine.
If you say so. And,
and as things click off, we cut away, and we follow this trail away from the encampment. It is first, it's above ground, but then there's a turnoff that is specifically underneath the sands, and it is very twisting, turning, winding. We see old-time Krogan graffiti on the walls. Some of it may be familiar as representations of Kalros, Queen of the Sands, mother of all Thresher Moths. And then past that into Krogan ruins of before the last Civil War. Those blast doors being, well, twice as thick as the doors you'd find at Fort Knox. And then inside, it's not just turrets. There are things, tiny things, well, tiny by Thresher Moth scale, that are just crawling around the ruins of a hospital. And that's where we're going to call it, folks.
Well, thanks. That's great. Thank you. I appreciate that.
This will be fun. This is great.
It's going to be great. It's going to be perfectly... You know what? Mission's going to be easy. Easy.
Yep.
I'm glad you're all so positive. Thank you all so much for being here, folks. I have been your humble storyteller amongst storytellers, Pope World Build on the internets. If you want to see more of my silly face, tune in tomorrow night over at Wandering DM at 8:30 p.m. Eastern for some more Montreal by Night, where there will be hopefully far less acid in our future as opposed to this group, and hopefully far less explosions and more Frenchmen. We'll see about that. But yes, thank you again between the donations, which I believe still taking them through tomorrow, for an incredibly worthy charity. Again, the work that they do between scholarships for those military brats and all the stuff that they do for families is, I cannot undersell you on how important that is, because I can tell you, keeping yourself cared for while caring for somebody else is insanely difficult. It doesn't seem that way, but I'm telling you from experience, it is. And when finally that person gets back home, it is very easy to have just been on an adrenaline dump the entire time they've been in there, and then you get sick and you can't care for them at home. That's the last thing any of you need, and these folks help keep that from happening. So thank you for the donations that you've given. Thank you for helping to promote, and give if you can, when you can. Take care of yourselves and one another, and thank you all for being here. We're a live VOD YouTube stories, nothing without its audience. You're much part of this as we are. Now let's find out where you can find all these other amazing people, what they're up to. So first, Jesus, how you doing, buddy? And where can we find you?
Hey guys, you can find me as Arvanis on most social medias. I'm part of a podcast called Fanable, where we play a wide. We've been together for 15 years, played a wide variety of different role-playing game. I also have a YouTube channel called Arvandis, where I do go over the lore of various role-playing game, not war games for funsies, and that's really all about me.
Definitely tune into those lore videos. They are wonderful, folks.
Thank you so much.
Speaking of wonderful, PB, how you doing, friend? What are you up to? Where can we find you?
Hi, I'm PB. You can find me at PB Plays Inside over on Twitch and Blue Sky. And right now, I'm about to get back on that Destiny 2 grind as we get ever closer to the expansion dropping in the beginning of June. And I've been off of the game for a couple of months, so I gotta get back to it and do all the new content that's been dropped in the game. And I'm also going to be doing a little bit of prep for the next solo game that I'm doing at the end of the month on the 29th. This time we're going to go with Void 1680, Void AM 1680, something along those lines. It seems like a cool system, and I look forward to doing it, and I look forward to seeing you guys there. So that is what I am up to for the moment, at least.
Fantastic. Between the solo plays, the creativity, and also someone who I appreciate Destiny, but it's not something that I play, but the lore's really good. It is wonderful to have PB on the background where I can appreciate the stuff that I like without interacting with the stuff that I don't. Someone who is excellent at doing a bunch of stuff that I enjoy watching, but not necessarily playing, and is a far more gifted painter than I, would be Chris. How you doing, friend? Where can we find you? What are you up to?
Hi, yes, you can find me over at twitch.tv/paintingpirate or paintingpirate.com for all the other socials, because I can never be bothered to list them all. Usually streaming Monday, Thursdays, and Saturdays, and everything I'm doing is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, because I'm trying to finish that before the Final Fantasy XIV expansion drops in about a month's time, which is probably a futile effort, but we're going to keep trying.
Guys, one, Chris is one of the biggest Final Fantasy fans I know, and two, good gods, that game is pretty.
Oh, it's so pretty. It's so pretty.
Someone who knows about making pretty things is Mandy. How you doing, friend? Where can we find you, and what are you up to?
Hello, yes. Everybody can find me around the internet as LadyLuck34. I am on socials with that, as well as here on Twitch, and I stream a couple times a week, usually Monday, Thursday, as well. And currently, all the sewing. That's all we're doing is sewing. That's like the next at least 5 weeks of content, sewing.
Well, if you want to do a sew along, folks, I mean, that's an open invitation. And having lived with a seamstress and then people who enjoy the SEA in making period Japanese clothing, I can tell you that they love having something that is within the same vein whilst crafting. So definitely, if you're one of those crafty folks, tune in to Mandy. And then for something slightly, or if not completely different, hey Prax, how you doing? How you are, friend? What are you up to? Where can we find you?
Well, thank you again for this game. Thank you to my players. I apologize for the technical difficulties to all of you and to all of you watching at home. This, when it goes up on YouTube, will all be in one chunk. That's a great reminder that, hey, there is indeed a YouTube, and I can spell. That's the thing. But also, thank you so far for all of your support for Fisher House Charities. They are, as everybody's been saying, a really great group of people, a really great organization, not just on the front end for what they do, but also on the back end with all of their transparency and all of the things that they keep trying to do to improve themselves as a charity and of themselves. I can also say I grew up a military brat, and I was very lucky that no one in my family had to use their services, but we did know a couple people that did, and they were phenomenal all the way around. Also, just because I always forget this part when talking up Fisher House, because I usually talk about the money side, but Fisher House also does hotel point donations, which is a thing that they don't talk about enough. But if there is a VA hospital where you or where somebody is receiving treatment and it's not near a Fisher House, they take donations for hotel points so they can get hotel rooms for people as well. And also transportation, airline flight points. They take use those for transportation of people receiving treatment. So they're really great people who are trying to do as much as possible with as many different ways to get people involved as possible. But as for me, you can find me next with Pope over on Simon at Wandering DM for Montreal by Night, as the Ravnos is like, fuck all y'all, and is going to Paris, as apparently, because there's been a lot going on. I'm going to Paris. Get out of Montreal. And then I will be back on Saturday for book club will be back finally after 2 weeks. I'm sorry, I had some technical difficulties. We have a lot of books to talk about. There are a lot of books that are sitting over there that are ready to be talked about. And some of them are really, really, I think, very interesting that I'm looking forward to talking with you all about. But until then, you can follow me on Twitter or Blue Sky, Hive, Instagram, Prox the Bard over on Blue Sky, Hive, and Instagram, at Deirdre Donlan on Twitter. And we will see, is there anybody up at the moment to raid? Not at the moment. So we will just, hey, farewell and good evening. Oh wait, hold on, DJ's up. DJ's up. I missed that. We'll go over and raid DJ Knight, another fabulous streamer, part of the Team Cypher, and also a former member of the military. He's playing some Fallout 4, so we should go give him some love, and we will see you all